So how can parents help prevent suicides like Tyler Clementi's? And how should parents discuss the Rutgers tragedy with their children? Here with some advice is Ellen Pober-Rittberg. She is a parenting expert, author of 35 Things Your Teen Won't Tell You, So I Will. Welcome, Ellen.
Thank you, Chuck.
You know, we don't know yet what caused this terrible tragedy at Rutgers, but I think probably one of the things that teenagers are reluctant to tell their parents is if they are having homosexual tendencies. Is there any good way to open up a dialogue with your child about sexual orientation?
I think that if you begin to talk with your child about not sex, of course, but about human relationships at an early age, it becomes that much easier to kind of introduce the subject, which they may have obliquely mentioned in passing, or you catch a snippet of conversation, which I mentioned about in my book, that you have to be a good spy if you're going to be a parent of a tween or a teen. It's essential.
It is. When you say start early, how early do you start talking about sex and human relations?
Well, I think in my book I illustrate by saying, well, my kids were probably too young for me to bring it up. The 3 kids were sitting in the back of my car, and I had 3 kids in 3 years, so they were all very close in age. And somebody asked me a question about how babies were made, and they were really preteen, and I told them in a somewhat graphic way, but not yucky way, but they went, "Oh, yuck."
Typical reaction.
I think you can start really at a somewhat early age. And sometimes you can work with the school. If you learn that they have a curriculum, you try to feed into the things that they're teaching at the school level.
Are there ways, little clues you can pick up as a parent if you are spying, as you should, as you recommend? If you're paying close attention, can you pick up clues that your child is being bullied or harassed in some way?
I say this, the aim of most teens and tweens is to lead a life of secrecy, and the aim of every parent is to penetrate that veil of secrecy. Now, I sometimes talk about problems they may encounter that are benign, but there are so many horrible things that can happen to your child. You really have to try to do what you have to do. Sometimes listen in. I mean, listen in if they have some friends come up to their room and you hear them whispering. Don't be afraid to be a combination CIA, KGB, real spy. I know it doesn't sound comfortable, and there are many things that you're going to have to do as a parent of a tween or a teen in order to try to help ensure your child's safety. Of course, there are no guarantees.
Does this include monitoring their computer traffic?
I think it does. I really do.
Is there a risk, though, that if they catch you listening at the door when they're talking to their friends, or listening to their phone conversations, or checking their computer memory bank out, the history of websites they visited, that you'll lose them?
I don't think so. What I think is that the generation that you're raising is more sophisticated about technology than you could ever be. So what you try to do is try to learn as much as you can, find out about filters, controls that you can have, but putting computers aside for the moment, because there are so many ways that a child can be bullied that are not computer-oriented. You got to know, is your child himself or herself a bully? And is your child being bullied? And I think sometimes you got to watch your child when they're in your house. Are they depressed? Do they seem depressed to you?
All right, Ellen Pober-Rittberg, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it. The book is 35 Things Your Teen Won't Tell You, So I Will. So we've knocked a couple of them off right now, but there's lots more to read about.